Hello, everybody, and welcome to this first feedback on the Writing is Easy ESP course. Here we have all the comments you sent, and we will talk about what you wrote, and we will explain part of your doubts or possible questions. All right. So here we have one of the comments. I think it is Ligia's. She says that she didn't have experience in the English language, and she didn't know the differences between speaking and writing, right? And but she had some feedback on how this works from previous courses. One thing we should take into account is that the writing and the speaking processes are completely different. All right. Though we use the same code, that doesn't mean that we're using the same structures. So, speaking is often followed by a more dynamic and more um, straightforward at some point and flexible at some other point process, while writing should be clear and straightforward, uh, just for the fact that when you're speaking, you have the other person right there with you to interact with. On the other side, when we are writing, we don't have the author able to answer to our questions. That's one of the most relevant differences between writing and speaking. That when we're speaking, we have immediate feedback from the source of the information, or we can communicate in different ways our communication. However, when we're writing, everything that's there, it's just in the paper, and we have no access to further information from the author. All right. Yeah. Daniela is saying here that it seems strange um, to know how writing and speaking are different. All right. She's mentioning something about contractions, and she writes on a daily basis, but she wants to go to college, okay, and she also wants to work remotely. Um, yeah, the ways are different, okay. The registry should be different. The words, the structures might be the same, but we have some expressions we can say, but we can't write. And there are some expressions we often write that are extremely weird when we speak. So those differences will be explored in our course. In addition, it's key to say that writing well means more opportunities, both in the academic field and in the working field. And if you are working remotely, that is a key element to get a good offer or to maintain a good profile online with a company or either working as a freelancer. Once you master the writing skill, you are ahead of many people that might speak the language well but don't know how to write a report. And that's key to have a good job online. Here we have, I guess, is Jocelyn. She's saying that she didn't know the differences between writing and speaking, and now she's willing to practice a little bit more. All right. Yeah, one of the most important things about practicing writing, it's finding a good use to it. All right. It's similar to sportmen. If you're practicing but you never played, probably You're trained to play in a game, but you're not actually doing it. So one of the good things about writing is that you can practice and you can start putting this into practice as long as you learn new things. A good way is to find where you can use what you're learning, and these kind of courses will allow you doing that. Silvio saying that he didn't know the differences between writing and English, all right? And she has to write once or twice a week, all right? And she might have, he might have mistakes, and that's true. We all make mistakes. One good thing about writing is that it's not a one point process. It's not something you do only at once. Writing, it's a whole process that takes time and takes attention, and it also it's good having revisions from the work you're doing. That is, if you're writing an email, you better have somebody helping you out with some feedback to check out if what you wrote is correct, if your words were if the word choice is a good one, if the tone of the email was correct. So writing allows us to have a good message that allows us to deliver a good message in a correct way, but we have the chance to revise before actually going and sending the message. All right. So one way to correct mistakes is going through the whole process. Okay, doing some previous writing, which is calling drafting your messages or your information. You write a draft, revise that, correct, and then you send a perfectly written test, essay, or email. Good. So that's one of the ways we can avoid making mistakes. Mariana is saying that many people might think that speaking is just the what we have to learn when we're speaking a language, and she has a very a very clear opinion about that. That people should speak and write enough for having open opportunities, and that's totally true. Um, Sometimes people may think that writing is difficult because we often think we need a lot of vocabulary and we need to know everything about the other language we're learning. In this case, is English, but that's not true. The English language is actually a very easy-going language. So, with basic structures and some vocabulary, we can have a lot to say. All right. So having complex words to express our ideas actually is detrimental to what we want to say. So what Mariana is saying here, it's kind of interesting because some people don't know the foundation about writing, but some other say or might think that writing is difficult, but it's not. It's actually very simple, and writing in English can be simple as long as we learn the basic tools. And finally, we've got Luis, who's saying that people use contractions in spoken English, but he didn't know any other differences, right? And he rarely writes in English, okay? But because he doesn't need that. All right. Yeah, but you will need to write in the future for a job position or if you are planning to study abroad. Yeah, about contractions. Contractions are a natural flow of the language. When we see contractions in English, that is the representation of two words interacting in the sound world, in a phonetic world. But one thing we should take into account is that contractions are not allowed in academic or formal writing. We might write some contractions, sometimes to express exactly what somebody's saying, sometimes to have a report, to write a dialogue when people are talking, or when we are writing informally. Okay, but for academic writing and formal writing, that is to say, for jobs, contractions are not allowed, or at least they're not well seen, right? So contractions is it's something important we have to take into account, and we will discuss throughout the course. So thank you very much for your comments, and please stay tuned because Amber is gonna be sending some information soon, so you can catch up with other aspects of writing. Okay, have a good weekend.